If you're ever surfing around on social media, and if you spend any time paying attention to mainstream media sources like ESPN, then you'll know just how much they care about the quote face of the league. I would explain specifically what they mean by this, but the truth is, I think it's often a vague term that doesn't always share the same definition amongst people. I often think ESPN and social media operates from this lack of premise in order to create conflict. In short, people have different definitions of the term and argue in favor of their candidate based on that unspoken premise. Personally, I think it's not simply who's the best player in the NBA today, because if that was the case, they would just say it that way. But I personally think it's more complex and layered than that. In the minds of the mainstream media talking heads, ideally, the face shouldn't just be a superstar player who's capable of winning an MVP or leading a team to a championship. But the player has to be marketable. He has to have that quote it factor. It's hard to explain, but let's use the face of the league in the 1990s as an example, Michael Jordan. Back then, MJ was the guy. Yes, he was without question the best player in the league throughout the vast majority of the decade. But it wasn't just that. MJ had a charisma, aura, and personality that drew in the general audience. He was a savage competitor on the court, with a style and flair that was undeniably mesmerizing. But he was also a winner, and people like rooting for winners. He was gracious with the media, with great insight that was always equipped with a massive smile. But when it was time for business, he was that ideal fierce leader that any organization or group desires for. I'm not saying MJ was perfect as a person, but as the guy to bear the promotional image of the growing NBA, yeah, he was perfect for that. Two things can be true at once. Michael Jordan was the consensus best player in the league, but he was also promoted by the league with special attention and treatment. Basically, they knew they had lightning in a bottle and they ran with it. Ever since his retirement, the media has been obsessive about finding the next Michael Jordan, which is a tired term for sure. But another way of looking at it is they're essentially looking for the next guy to be the face of the league, as well as MJ did it in that role. Under Jordan's time, the league saw record NBA viewership, and the league went from simply a national spectacle to a global one. That's basically all the league office wants, a growing product that's a revenue machine. Recently, others have held that face of the league title, like LeBron James, who is currently in the twilight of his career. So it's no wonder why the media is searching for the next one. They're planning for life and business after LeBron. But there's no question in my mind that LeBron was never the ideal face of the league to the extent that MJ was. Generally speaking about basketball fans, back in the 90s, you either admired Michael Jordan or you were a Knicks or Pistons fan. It was usually that simple. On the other hand, LeBron James is far more polarizing for a variety of reasons. There's now the aspect of social media. He's made some decisions that split basketball audiences. And beyond all of that, he's referred to himself as the greatest player of all time, which greats usually don't say about themselves publicly. Some may love these aspects about LeBron, but others hate it, which has undeniably split the basketball audience, resulting in some tuning out completely. If you want to argue against my belief that MJ was the ideal face of the league, then ask yourself this. Why are they always asking who will be the next Michael Jordan, but almost no one ever asks who will be the next LeBron James? Let's be real, the league and the media knows what they're looking for. So now that brings us to the candidates of the modern NBA. You have incredible international players, like Giannis, Luka Doncic, and Nikola Jokic. Yet for some reason, no matter how good the players are, the NBA always seems hesitant to embrace a foreign-born player as the quote face of the league. The NBA media seems to believe that they need an American player to relate to its American audience, which is the audience that generates the most revenue for the league. Personally, I'm not sure that I really agree with this perspective though. Because for goodness sake, Shohei Ohtani, a Japanese player, has got me back into baseball after not paying attention to the league for years. To me, the transcendent talent is more important than anything else. But that's not the belief of the NBA media, and they've said as much publicly on multiple occasions. So then you look at the American players, like Anthony Edwards, who's only 23 years old, but the reality is that he isn't good enough or winning enough to warrant that title just yet. Players like Jason Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton just haven't had enough individual dominance for us to take such a title seriously. I think this brings us to the uncomfortable reality of the NBA today. Once LeBron is officially retired, there will be no individual face of the league. The talent is spread out pretty evenly throughout the league, and there isn't one team/player who's dominating the sport with multiple championships, while possessing a marketable image for the general audience. Look at it this way. Think of the NBA in the 1970s. Was there really a face of the league at that time? If so, who was it? John Havlicek? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? Julius Erving? Rick Barry? Pete Maravich? There simply wasn't one guy who dominated the NBA for a decade with championship success, like there was in the 60s with Bill Russell, the 80s with Magic Johnson, the 90s with Michael Jordan, and the 2000s with Kobe Bryant. The 70s were extremely similar to this modern era of the NBA in the sense that there was no back-to-back champions in that decade. Without the consistent success, it's hard to declare one individual player as the guy, because it simply changes too drastically from year to year. So the question now is, does this all even matter? Yes and no. To hardcore basketball fans like myself, and many of you watching this video, I don't think it's particularly crucial, because we're already invested in so many players, and we enjoy solid competition. But in the case of the more general audience, casual fans included, I think it matters a lot. What is the brand of the NBA in the 1990s without Michael Jordan? What is the PGA Tour in the 2000s without Tiger Woods? What is the MLB in the 2020s without Shohei Ohtani? A face of your league is one who generates interest in your product. To most fans, Michael Jordan was basketball in the 90s, Tiger Woods was golf in the 2000s, and so on. It's often the difference between someone being a passionate fan or completely disinterested. They have to be great at what they do, they have to be winning, and they must be marketable on a massive scale. A quote, best player in the league will always be present, but one singular face of the league is something else entirely that doesn't necessarily exist at all points in time. The unfortunate truth is that the NBA is still looking for their next guy. Could it be someone in the league currently? Possibly, but it's not going to happen by accident or happen with subtle convenience. The player will have to seize that title in such a way that it will be undeniable to the majority of us. So what do you guys think? Does the NBA need a face for the league? And if I'm right about the league not currently having one, then who do you think will eventually become that face? Is he even in the NBA yet? I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.